What's up, fight fans? Thank you, as always, for passing by the channel. All right, prospect of 2018. Very difficult subject. And the reason it's very, very difficult is because I actually don't know what a prospect means anymore. I mean, is it based on your age? Is it based on how many fights you've had? Is it based on if you're world level or not? Because if it wasn't any of those things, if it was just a case of how many fights you've had, then I think my prospect would be Josh Taylor. It's fair to say Josh Taylor is already world elite level, right? In terms of his weight class anyway. There's not many 140 pounders out there better than Josh Taylor. So how do you class him as a prospect, right? I think he's probably, at worst, the third best 140 pounder in the world, at worst. So whereas Josh Taylor probably still would be classed as a prospect because of how many fights he's had, it's difficult for me to label him a prospect because I think he's already world class. So for me, when I think of prospect, I think of guys that are not yet world level, but are coming up, right? There's not many on the UK scene that I've been uber impressed with. A lot of people mention the names like Josh Kelly and Boatsi. I think Josh Kelly's done okay. It would have been so good to see Josh Kelly on the undercard of that Brook fight. Then I would have known exactly where he is, but obviously that fight got pulled, so I'm not too sure about him. Boatsi, we haven't seen Boatsi in against anybody, right? His last fight was, I think, the perfect way to see him against someone. I don't think Quillen was anything special, but it would have been good to see him get a couple of rounds. That fight ended in, what, 1 minute 30 seconds. So Boatsi, for me, yes, is a huge prospect, but we haven't seen him against anybody to kind of see if it's more than just a prospect. But he's still a very, very good prospect, but not my prospect of 2018. When I look at the other stables, I look at Frank Warren, he's got Yard, he's got Gorman, he's got Dubois. All three very good, I think. I think Yard will prove to be that he isn't just a bodybuilder, he can box a bit. I think he's going to do good. I think of the two heavyweights, I think Gorman might be the better of the two when it comes to him and Dubois. And if those two were to fight, I'd actually put my money on Gorman. But again, I've not been uber impressed with them. Two guys that I have been impressed with, and they're both stateside. And I think 2019, 2020 is going to be interesting for both. The first one is Shakur Stevenson. That guy, I think, has a bit of everything. I don't want to get too excited because I've been burnt by prospects before. But that guy looks like he has a bit of everything. Plus, he's got the amateur background as well. He can box, he can punch, he's a southpaw, he's tricky, he can be a bit spiteful when he wants to. And what I've seen with him as well, and what I like about this, is that I've seen him start to soak up a lot of knowledge from other boxers. 9 times out of 10, you'll see that he's either sitting down with Terence Crawford or he's sitting down with Andre Ward. He's literally trying to pick the brains from some of the best boxers out there, and I like that. He knows he's got a long way to go, so I think the best thing for him to do is start learning from the best. He's had 5 fights in 2018 as well, which I like. I hate prospects that think they can have 2 or 3 fights because they're names now. He is a name, but he's had 5 fights in 2018, and he'll probably have 4 or 5 fights in 2019 as well. And don't be shocked if he gets a fringe belt in 2019, because honestly, they're starting to push him early, and I think he is a very, very good prospect. My prospect of the year, and it was really close between him and Shakur Stevenson, is Teofimo Lopez. He's only 21, 11 fights so far, 9 knockouts. Again, like Shakur Stevenson, I think he's got a bit of everything. He fights in the lightweight division. He's already the NABF champion, which is almost, I guess, the equivalent in the UK to maybe, I say a British title, maybe, or Southern Area title, but he's already the NABF champion. He's only young. He's still got a long way to go. But again, he's got a bit of everything, and he's spiteful. He arguably had the KO of the year in his most recent fight, so we know he can punch as well. But those two are my standouts for 2018, Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. And it'll be very interesting to see what they do in 2019. It's disappointing for me personally that I don't have any Brits in that list, but I guess we wait and see what the Brits are going to do in 2019. One that I did think about putting in the list, but I was umming and ahhing about it, was Lawrence Okolie. I know a lot of people give him stick, but I look at Lawrence Okolie a bit different. And I look at someone that I think has an uber amount of potential. He's the British and Commonwealth champion, and I think he's done it without breaking sweat. He hasn't looked good in some of the performances, especially when you think of the results against Askin and Isaac Chamberlain. Those fights were shockingly bad. But when you look at the performance against Duke Watkins, he looked good, he looked strong, and he's massive for a cruiserweight. He really is. Hence why Tyson Fury brought him in for sparring. He's a very, very big cruiserweight. He's #1 in Britain without breaking sweat. And I do think if he can improve on his inside game, because his outside game ain't too bad, but it's when he's inside he doesn't know what to do. If he can improve on his inside game, I think 2019 will be very good for Lawrence Okolie. But that's 2019. So again, just to remind you, my prospects for 2018 were Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez.